everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to talk to you guys about my experience overall working at Subway. So I started at Subway 2 months after I had turned 16. I was there from April of 2013 to January of 2015, and I worked in a town where it was a couple towns over from mine, but it was a very well-off town. Everybody knew it and everybody acted, for the most part, not every single person, but a lot of the people acted like they thought they were better than you, especially a lonely little Subway employee. And I got treated like shit, basically. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it, mainly by the customers. There were a few coworkers I had and a couple managers that kind of knew that I did everything and I was a very hard worker, and if I saw something that wasn't done, I would do it, and they kind of took advantage of that, because if they would leave something like the night before, or say I had to work a 3 to 7, they would leave it for me because they know I would do it. And I kind of got taken advantage of because I am usually not necessarily somebody that will speak up about that. I will just do it and get it done. I might vent to like my friends later, but that's about it. So originally when I started, I worked a couple, like 1 or 2 3 to 7 shifts a week, not really anything up until my senior year, which started in August of 2014. And then I was full-time at community college for my entire senior year, so I only had class 2 days a week. I had it Tuesday, Thursday from like 8 to 12. I only had 3 classes. I was full-time if you're still in high school, and I still played volleyball. I still did drama. I was able to do all of that, which was really nice, but I got like 1 free class and I had to pay for the other 2. But it was nice because I was pretty much done with all my credits. I needed like 1 English and 1 math for my senior year, which I took at the community college, so it ended up transferring as my credit for high school to graduate, and also in the future when I would transfer later on to a different college. But during my senior year, because I was only in class 2 days a week, and I had volleyball at like 2 in the afternoon for practice, and then games, it would be, we would leave at like 2:30. But Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I would open at Subway from 6:30 a.m. and depending on if I had practice or not, because sometimes if there was an away freshman game, our coach had to go handle that, and so we didn't have practice that day. I would work usually about until 1:30 p.m. or about 3:30 p.m., so either 6 to 8 hours. I'm pretty sure overall that's kind of illegal to have a 17-year-old there at 6:30 a.m. to open for 7 and be by themselves till about 10:30 every day. Now that I'm older and I've seen other labor laws with when I worked at Six Flags, because Six Flags is a stickler with labor laws because they are such a large corporation, but I'm pretty sure that's breaking some sort of child labor law. I mean, I got hours, so I wasn't really complaining. I would rather open than close anyways, but it was nice because I was there by myself for about 4 hours, and I kind of like working by myself in that environment just because I don't really have to worry about anybody else getting in my way, because I was very, very organized with how I would open and everything. So sort of the process of opening, you go in, unlock the door, clock in, normal stuff at most places, and then we had to set everything up. So we would have to go into the cooler, pull out all of the stuff that was put in the line last night, and then refill the line, see if anything was too short, fill that, and then we also had to prep all the bread. Bread basically comes in frozen sticks, and then the closer would have to take out certain pans of bread, like there'd be 10 pieces on a sheet. We would have to pan that and put that and prep it onto the actual bread trays. And obviously when we got there, we had to turn the oven and the proofer on to proof the bread before we could cook it. So usually we started like cooking cookies while the bread was proofing. And then also one of the things that was very off-putting for me, even when I worked there, is they would make us in the morning take everything that was supposed to be in the line for the morning, just in case a health inspector came in. They would make us like scrub off the little like sticker with the date and the time and who made it and what the product was. Made us scrub that off and then like re-put them on for like that day, because they had like days of the week on them, and then you also had to put like the date and then who made it, and I think the time too. But that was kind of off-putting because that's kind of really gross, because I know like some of the eggs and some of the hash browns that people didn't really buy would sit there for like weeks and weeks and weeks. So whenever somebody would order it, I'd be like, maybe you don't want to do that. I never actually said that because I couldn't, but And then obviously we had to count the drawer. We had to heat up any soup. That soup, or the meatballs, I would never eat that because that got disgusting. The meatballs you'd heat up like, and they'd be like crusty, and the soup would be gross. But then they also didn't really want us throwing anything away, even though technically you're supposed to. So I had to use it. It was disgusting. And after that, we had to prep anything we had to prep for the day. On a side note, with a lot of the food. So the only fresh cut food that are there are tomatoes, onions, green peppers, and cucumbers are the only 4 cut food at Subway. Everything else comes in a bag. So all of the sweet peppers, banana peppers, olives, jalapenos, all of those come in bags of juice. It's disgusting. You had to drain out the juice, and even then sometimes some of them were so saturated that like it would sit in juice in the container, in the Cambro container. Disgusting. They started making us they had these little things, these little plastic trays that they would put in the bottom that had holes in them, so like the juice could fall through it and like sit on the bottom. It was not good. Other than that, the meat was disgusting. I hated the barbecue chicken and the pulled pork when they had it, because that stuff smelled disgusting. I hated it. Steak also, all 3 of them would be in the freezer. They would put one in the refrigerator to defrost overnight, and then if it needed to be prepped, you would prep it in the morning. You put it in this huge bowl. You had to like pull everything apart because it would be like a brick still. You had to pull all of it apart, and then you had to take it and measure it into trays, into like each had a certain ounce that you had to do. There was a little scale and everything. I hated it. Also the chicken. So all the chicken, there's the chicken breasts, easy, just toss them into a Cambro. That was easy. The chicken, the buffalo chicken and the teriyaki chicken, and then there was the plain chicken, like little pieces. The buffalo I didn't mind. I like the smell of that. The teriyaki, I hated the smell of it. It was disgusting. And all of those would get weighed out. And then there was also turkey, ham, pepperoni, and salami would be, I believe, the only ones that were actually, they were in like shrink wrap plastic. The ham wasn't fully shrink wrapped. It still had like juice in it, which was disgusting. The turkey, pepperoni, and salami didn't have that. And then all the cheeses were similar. I know when we occasionally got pepper jack, it was kind of annoying because there would be like little tiny sheets of paper in between each slice of cheese that you had to like take off when you were prepping it. It was really annoying. Like American cheese was easy. It came in like this really long brick, and then they were like squares, and then they had triangles, so you had to like break all of them apart and then put them out in the reach-in, which is the front the front refrigerator before it went to the line. So you had a bunch prepped. Another thing, the bacon is so disgusting. It would have like layers and chunks of white fat. It was absolutely disgusting. I hated prepping it. There was supposed to be 10 on a sheet. A lot of times they weren't actually 10 on a sheet, and so you had to count it out, and then you had to write if there was a loss of inventory. Too much. Hated it. Hated prepping bacon. Another thing that was kind of gross, this is, I think, is about my store alone. When the tuna, it came in like shrink wrapped, like sealed bags that were like this thin, but like this like tall, and you had to break apart all the tuna. With the tuna, our managers would make us put extra mayo in them so it would last longer per serving, because it was like 2 scoops for a 6-inch, 4 scoops for a foot long for the actual tuna. So if there was more mayo, it would make it more watery, and then you'd pick up less, and then so inventory would last longer, because if not, then they would be short on inventory. The whole process was messed up. And then one of the other really gross things is nobody else would clean out the sinks. Like I would come in the morning when I would open, and the sinks would have like leftover like food after the sink had drained. Like nobody actually cleaned it. It was disgusting. And then one of the good things is we had a really good like senior store manager, which basically she just was the manager that managed like 4 stores that would go in every couple days, every week or something like that, and just check in on everything, contact with our manager. I had 2 managers that weren't very good managers overall. They caused a lot of drama and would say that basically my manager, either one of them would say that her manager above them would tell me to do something like after they'd already left. So at the end of the day, it was really a culmination of a lot of things that left me to end up quitting working at Subway. the hours, minimum wage ended up going up. At that time, I had already had a dollar raise over everyone else. Minimum was like 8 and I was making 9 because they loved how I worked. I was supposed to be like acting assistant manager. And then when minimum wage went up to 9, I asked if my raise was going to, and they were like, no. And so I was like, well, why should I try any harder than anybody else if I'm not getting paid any more than anybody else? And then they started cutting hours, and I ended up getting a job offer at Cinemark, and ended up being like, I'm sorry, but I was offered a better job opportunity, and overall, there was just a lot of things that led me to quit. So I gave my 2-week notice and left, and actually went into that Subway like 2 weeks ago, and that senior store manager was there, and she's like, hey, you want to come back? And I was just like, no. But thank you guys for watching my experience working at Subway and sort of the real story about what Subway is kind of like. If you guys do have any other questions, or you want me to make a spin-off of this with more in-depth details on like closing, opening, anything along those lines, or anything else you want to see, just let me know in the comments below. Thumbs up this video if you guys like this video. Thank you guys for watching, and have a great day. Bye guys.